Welcome to Artist Spotlight on Life 97.5 FM, where we chat with a gospel artist, Christian artists, wherever they are around the world, using their gifts to glorify God and proclaim his name. And I'm so honored today to make a Nairobi, Kenyan connection here from Barbados. That's how we do it at Artist Spotlight. None other than, I'm going to say, the Rebekah Dawn.
My goodness, what an intro.
Singer, songwriter, musician, producer there in Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome, Rebekah Dawn. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm so pumped to be here and I'm doing really well. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. You know, I was saying today, actually, your president is here in Barbados right now, and he was given, he was conferred some an order of freedom of Barbados, which is the highest honor yesterday by our Governor General. So this is ironic. This is very. I'm telling you, you know, it should have been done today.
I'm following after my president. I'm just following one step behind him.
Right. Oh, it's so nice to meet you and to chat with you. You know, I would have mentioned I don't usually share personal stuff on Artist Spotlight, but just to say that, you know, when I was seeking God earlier this year for direction as for what it was that he wanted me to do with my voice and my next song, and you know, I was earnestly seeking him, and then he led me to "Oh My Soul" by Rebekah Dawn, and I'm telling you, I'm seeing that it's pushing very close now to 1 million views.
Yeah,
I don't know how many of those views are mine, right? I would say.
I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for that.
No problem. And I would have shared it as well. But it's so inspirational and just exactly what the Lord wanted me to know at that time. Wow. So I wanted to say thank you very much for your obedience. And I would love to hear about you and your life. You were born in Mississippi. I would love to hear how a girl born in Mississippi ended up living in Kenya most of her life. So let's start there.
Okay, awesome. All right. So yes, I was born in Centerville, Mississippi. I was the only white baby in the hospital that I was born in.
Really?
Yes. So I am one of 6 children, and myself and my younger sister are the only 2 who were not born in Kenya. The rest of my siblings were born here in Kenya. I am actually 3rd generation in here. So my grandfather came to Kenya originally as an itinerant preacher. He used to go all over the world as a preacher until he came to Kenya. And when he came to Kenya, he just fell in love with the land, with the people, just loved the country. And so brought his entire family over. My father was 16 when he first came to Kenya. And same thing for my father, just came and totally just felt that connection, that God connection of this is where I'm meant to be and this is where I'm meant to minister. So my mom came out on a missions trip. This is in the 70s, the very early 70s, to serve with my dad's family, met my dad. They were still both teenagers at that time. They fell in love. They got married, still as teenagers.
Okay.
Went back to the States for Bible college to get some training, and then came back out to Kenya before I was born. My dad was actually a pilot, and he would fly his plane off the coast to the islands that are off the coast of Kenya. So that's Lamu Island, Pate Island, and just minister. And through that really felt a need for a church to raise, because at that time there was a very strong dependence on the West and missionaries and, you know, just that heavy dependence. And so my dad was like, you know, we want to see Kenyans be equipped, trained, empowered. And so they planted the church in 1987. And so I happened to be born when they were back in the States visiting, my younger sister as well. But I've lived in Kenya since before I was 1 year old. They came back, and I've been here ever since, other than I did do my senior year of high school in the States. My parents required all of us to at least spend 1 year in America because they never wanted us to grow up and, marry a Kenyan, which I have done, and then look back and be like, what else could I have done if I was given that opportunity? Right. So they were like, go to America, just see what's available, what's out there. Because for them, being in Kenya was them answering the call of God for their life. But they were like, you need to hear the call of God for your own life. And it might not be Kenya. And it's not necessarily Kenya because it was for us. God might be calling you somewhere else. So I did go to the States for very wise. So I was in Dallas, Texas for my senior year of high school. And then I went to Hillsong in Australia. That's where I went to college. And then I've been back in Kenya since 2004, or at least African. I've lived in a couple of other nations surrounding Kenya, but I've been back in Kenya since 2004. I joined staff at our church in 2005 and have been here since, and now married and serving alongside my husband. And we have a recording studio, which is actually where I am right now for this interview. I'm in my studio.
Nice.
So we started our studio. I started the studio before I even met him. I started the studio in 2000 and I'm going to say seven or eight, somewhere around there. And I've just been doing it ever since. And so, that's how a Mississippi girl like me ended up in Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you're following the Lord. You studied music ministry at Hillsong. What influenced that? Is it that your family of 5 siblings, you're all musical? What happened there?
My parents are both incredibly musical. They both play instruments. My dad's a guitarist and he sings. My mom's a pianist and she sings. I mean, at the beginning, as a lot of church plants are, it's kind of the senior pastor and his wife doing everything. Yes. So they're the pastors, they're the worship leaders, they're the cleanup crew, they're the ushers, they're everything. So for the first, maybe I guess 4 or 5 years, that's how it was. And, as the church grew, and the church grew phenomenally fast, we're one of the largest churches in the city now. But my dad was the worship leader for many, many years. So very musical. My mom would write songs. I'm actually not very naturally gifted with music. I'm deaf in my left ear. Okay. I had an infection as an infant that the doctor didn't catch that it was an ear infection. So by the time they realized it, my eardrum had been completely damaged. Wow. So it's not really a natural gifting for me, I would say. I mean, we were all forced to do music lessons for 1 year. And then we were told if after 1 year you still hate it, you can quit, but you have to do 1 year. Mm-hmm. So I actually loved playing the piano, and I was classically trained, doing all the theory and all of that. And I just really loved music. It never was something I was very good at. In fact, to be quite frank, I was not good at all. I didn't sound nice, pitchy, all those things. Wow. As recently as when I went to Hillsong to do worship, my vocal tutor basically told me I should pray about maybe the Lord using me in another way.
Really?
Yeah, she's just like, girl, this is not your thing. But I was so determined. I was like, no, I'm going to be good at this.
Wow.
So I always encourage my team. I'm like, skill sometimes is natural, but skill can also be acquired. So if you work hard enough. Yeah. So, and it was also for me, it was also the response to the need, because in our church, we have a deaf ministry. So that's actually the first ministry that I joined, was being a sign language interpreter for our deaf. And so I was the worship leader in sign language. And then our youth group needed a piano player. And because of all the years of piano lessons, like I could, in fact, the first service I ever played piano, I didn't know how to play chords. I knew how to play sheet music and scores. So I just got nervous and I just played with one finger. I'm like a grade 5 theory student, and I'm just playing with one finger. So it was also kind of a result of there's a need for it, and I can serve. So, okay, I'll do that. So I kind of just ended up doing what I'm doing as a result of just, Lord, where do you need me? And the answer to that question just led me to where I am now. Because that's always what I would ask is, Lord, where do you need me? Where can I serve? Especially because I was single for a very long time. You can tell by the gray hairs. I've only been married for 5 years.
Young people have gray hairs.
That's true. That's true. Kwanzaa right now, it's gray is it's a style thing. So I'm like, right now I'm very in, maybe not in the next 10 years, but so I think as a single woman, you're also like, I mean, I've got time, like, where can I serve? Where is the need? So the need was always, we need a alto, we need a piano player. Eventually we need a song leader. We need someone to lead at this service or lead at this outreach. And so I think my landing where I am today was just a result of saying yes to a lot of what I call small obediences, just a small, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can serve there. So I don't think it was any huge, wow, Rebekah's so talented. I think it was just I'm free. I'll do that. And here I am now.
Amen to that. Wow. And even when you listen to your voice, and I remember watching an interview of you, or was it the house tour or something to that effect?
Yeah.
And even on your website, you talk about your unique voice, your unique sound. How did you acquire that? Because, there are a number of artists who may struggle with that. Lord, how do you want to sound versus what I'm hearing, what is trending, how did you develop that?
Yeah. I think, well, I don't know about where you're at, but in Kenya, a lot of the, what I would call the trending music, especially in gospel music, Kenya is a very unique country in that gospel music forever has been more popular than secular music. So, really? So you have a lot of people in the gospel scene who aren't even Christian, because it's just, if you want to make it as a musician, you have to make it as a gospel musician. That's changed a bit the last couple of years. But for most of because we're a very, when I say Christian nation, I'm going to say religious, religion is a very big part of our country. Yes. And so listening to gospel music you don't really even have to be saved. Gospel music is played in our clubs. Like when people are clubbing, you'll play gospel.
Okay.
Yeah. The really popular songs that are hitting. Wow. And it's really fun music. I love our music. Oh, I love our Kenyan music. And more than anything, I love our language. I think Kiswahili is a stunning language. But our sound, and especially our lyrics, I would say for many years, at least as long as I've been I would call it the music space in our country for 20 years now. And our music is it can be very shallow. It's a mile wide and an inch deep. And so I think for me, developing my sound was, I would keep asking myself the question, what am I not hearing? What music do I want to listen to? What songs would lead me into worship? And a lot of our songs are Mikono Ju, like put your hands in the air, and it's fun. It's party music. We need that. That's great. But, when you're grieving, when you're questioning, when you're doubting, when you're in a wilderness, that's not the song that's going to get you.
That's right.
And so for me, a lot of times I would get frustrated because I'm like, man, we need deeper music. And then it's like, well, if God's brought that need to me, he might be trusting me to meet that need. And so I think through that, I just kind of developed a sound that, people know now that, when you hear a deep song you're going to cry to, it's very likely a Rebekah Dawn song. And then a lot of our music is very driven by loops and by, beats. And I tend to have a very stripped down sound, a very simple sound. So it's not that I think there was anything wrong or lesser about the music that I was hearing. I just felt like there's something I can do that I'm not hearing. And so let me add a different sound into the mix. And even with our Swahili songs, it tends to be a lot of repeated phrases. We're saying the same thing all the time. Every song is pretty much saying the same thing. And I was like, it's poor writing, but it's also such a poor showcase of our language, because our language is beautiful. And so we can say more things, we can be so much more colorful with our language. And Kiswahili is a challenging language. Like for example, our word for like and our word for love is the same word.
Okay.
So Kiswahili is not a descriptive language, because if I'm going to say I like peanuts and I love God, I would say the same word. And so you have to now describe it, because the words themselves aren't very descriptive. And I love the challenge of that as a writer and as a primarily English speaker, is I have to think so differently for I hope my band isn't, can you hear my band? They're rehearsing in the background.
Yeah, I can.
Are they so loud? I'm hearing them. I'm like, uh-oh, I hope they're not like, I can send a text real quick and be like, guys, turn it down. I'm on an interview.
It's all right. It's fine. It's fine. Let's call it a background music.
Background music.
Yeah. It was all good.
Be like, guys, you're playing background music for an interview. Do not mess up. But we're rehearsing for our Christmas concert. So
Christmas. Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh, I'd love to see that. Oh my goodness. So basically you would have been filling a need as the Lord led you to.
Yes.
So now I was going to ask you, who is your musical or vocal inspiration? Would you be able to answer that, or is it a case where, you know what, you just filled in as needed?
Oh no, I have several that I love. One of my biggest inspirations, and I know this is going to make me sound so old, but let me defend it before you judge me.
No judgment here.
I absolutely love and admire Michael W. Smith, because I think he's one of the very few artists who has managed to meet a need for so many years. When I was young, and that was a while back, he was like cutting edge. And even now, even though he's not cutting edge as far as trending, he's still so relevant. But I also, as a composer and as a producer, Michael W. Smith has the most incredible power to arrange orchestras and strings. And oh my goodness, he's just such a phenomenal composer. So musically, I'm very inspired by him, more so his instrumentals. I love CeCe Winans so much. She's someone else that I just feel has been on the scene for so many years. And I think there's a weight that comes with her writing and her ministry. In fact, I was laughing because I tend to shy away from songs that are trending. I don't know if it's just a problem when everyone's like, oh, this song. And I'm like, I don't know about that song. So one of the songs that in Nairobi anyway was really, really big for a season was it's called The Goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God.
Yes. Here
too. I heard it. I was like, yeah, it's a nice song. It's a nice song. And then CeCe put it on her album, Believe for It. And when I heard her sing it, I was like, oh, we have to do this song. Like, oh my goodness. But I was telling my husband, that woman carries a weight just because I think of the faithfulness of so many years.
Amen.
Vocally, I think she is excellent. Yes. Like, and I love people who excel at their craft and don't use the anointing as an excuse for sloppiness.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like her. Who else do I listen to a lot? Love Ty Tribbett. Love Ty Tribbett's music. There's an artist called Todd Delaney. Don't know if you know Todd Delaney.
Yes, we know Todd. He's been here.
Yeah. Has he? Oh, he's so good. He's been to Nairobi as well. Okay. And I also love artists who sound like in person what they sound like on album. Like, you know, you listen to some artists live and you're like, wow, you did a lot of work in the studio because that is what you sound like. So I really like, I tend to lean towards like worship leaders or music that is emotional. I'm just not into fluffy music. There's some reggae artists that just, they just take me into the presence of God.
Nice.
Like, yes. There's a guy called, is it Positive? I love. Positive?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That man is a master at lyrics. Like if you just slow it down and listen, I'm like, bro is preaching a full-on sermon in one song.
That's great. You should come to the Caribbean and experience some more, you know.
I should. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You tell me when, girl. Yeah. You tell me when and I am coming out there.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. You know what else is amazing?
And you know, Do you know an artist called Chevelle Franklin? Do y'all know
Yes, of
Chev?
course. Well, she's a Jamaican. I'm a Jamaican. She's a Jamaican.
Chev is
Yeah,
actually a
yeah,
personal
man.
friend of mine. We've brought her out here
Really?
a couple of times to Nairobi. Yeah. The last event we
Nice.
brought her out for, not the last one, the one before that, we had about 25,000 people at her concert.
I've watched on YouTube events at which she has sung in
Yeah.
Africa where they're like
Yeah.
thousands of people
Oh, yeah.
gathered, and she just worships for like half an hour, 45 minutes.
Oh man.
And it's
And then she
great.
takes all the songs that you know. I mean,
Yes,
she do Our
yes.
God is an awesome God, but she puts that Jamaican flavor and you're
Yeah,
like,
man. That's
It's
how
a
we do it,
whole
you know.
new level of anointing, like
That's
just a
how we
whole
do
new
it.
level.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's so cool. That's so cool. Oh
Yeah.
well, you know, Rebecca, I've seen you working with your husband Alan as well, and you know, you could tell that the Lord put the both of you together to
Amen.
create. You know,
Amen.
well, one of the reasons to create. You know, what is the inspiration? What is it like working with Alan? He does your videos as well.
Yeah, he does all my videos.
Yeah, so you produce, you're the producer, he's a videographer. What's it like for you working together to create in this way?
It's a lot of things to work together. It's fun. You know, before I met my husband, I was dead set against marrying a creative because I was like, two creatives in the same house, it's just going to be competition all the time. It's going to be emotional all the time. I was like, I'm going to marry an accountant or someone who's just,
Really?
you know, about numbers and just, you know, and I'll be, yes. And then I met Alan and I was like, wow, I did not see that one coming.
Right.
And Alan is actually, before I had, and I would call it a breakout song. You know, everyone thinks there's a song called Kutembea Nawe, which really was a song that,
it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually wrote that song almost 4 years before it became a big deal. I just wrote it, put it on my SoundCloud and moved on with my life. And then a couple of years later, someone was like, oh, I heard your song on TV and oh, I heard your song on radio. And I'm like, really? Like I didn't send it to a DJ or anything. But so by the time it got big, Alan and I were already married. So Alan was like, babe, let's just shoot a video. But until that point, Alan was actually more famous in our city than I was. He is a phenomenal musician. He's a bass guitarist. He is an incredible singer. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the song that we did together, Even Here, where we sang together.
Even Here, yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah. So he's really, really great. And he is very strong in the genres I am not. Like he's a professional jazz bassist. He loves like Afrofusion and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like way over on the classics and then like fake Africa, like the Lion King Africa, like not real Africa.
The wannabe stuff.
Like Disney Africa. So when we started hanging out and I just was like, I knew this is the man I'm going to marry. And it also kind of put my fears to rest because Alan is so humble. He's very gentle, very unassuming. If he was standing in the room, you'd have no idea he is who he is because he doesn't behave like who he is. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Right. Yes.
But
yes. Understood.
Super down to earth, really, really laid back. So working together it's usually really fun, but I mean, we got to keep it real, right? Like we are people. And so he annoys me sometimes and I annoy him.
Right.
Sometimes it's like, you know what, for the sake of the marriage, let's put this project on hold and we'll circle back to this at some point. But for the most part, it's fun. He actually is an audio producer as well. In fact, we have an album. I'm very passionate about capturing vernacular music. I think we're losing a lot of, especially in Africa, to the West, to English. So I went to South Sudan and recorded a tribe in South Sudan. And then Alan and I, once we were married, we went deep into the rainforest of Madagascar and recorded a tribe in Madagascar, all of their songs in their vernacular. So he actually produced the Madagascar album. So he's really such a gift. And he's very skilled. Of course, as a videographer, it's such a blessing also financially because, you know, I think a lot of video companies make it very expensive. So it's just a blessing to have someone who can do it well, do it excellently. And again, it's one of those things, even with my style, it's just very typical in Kenya. If you're shooting a music video, you get a set, you get lights, you have to have a fancy car somewhere, a mansion, like 17 outfit changes.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's
yes.
all well and good, but that's just not me. And
Right.
so I love working with my husband who knows me. And I feel
Yes.
every time I watch a video, I'm like, I feel like that's me. I don't feel like I'm acting or being somebody that I'm not. So
Authenticity, and that's important.
Yeah. And then it's also great because we hold one another accountable, because it's easy to get on the stage and be in the spotlight and be the famous person with millions of views, but he sees me at home and I see him. And he sees if I'm reading my Bible and praying. He sees if I'm talking nicely and having a good attitude. And so Alan is ensuring, and I for him as well, that we're worshiping on and off the stage. Like, it's not just a moment on a Sunday and then we get home. Like, he's constantly reminding, babe, have you read your Bible? Babe, have you spent time in prayer? And it's just, I love that it's, he's guarding that authenticity, and making sure it's staying. So it is such a,
That's good. Wow. I'm telling you. Is there anybody who you'd love to work with that you haven't worked with yet, whether it's vocally or to produce? I
was actually telling my husband this the other day. Michael W. Smith just put out a re-release of some of his old songs. It's called Worship Forever, and it's very much orchestral driven, which is it's just my heart. I think classical music and orchestras, I just think it captures emotion in a different way than any other genre. I've always told my husband, if you want to say a lot in one song, reggae or rap are your genres. If you want to captivate the heart of the youth, hip hop is how to go. But if you want something to be emotional, you need to bring in the strings and those sounds. So I would give my eye teeth to sit in the room where Michael W. Smith is arranging. I would do anything. Like, I would just love to I don't think that will happen until heaven, but it's one of the things that makes heaven so exciting. Things are possible.
Yeah. Yes.
I'd love to do something with him. I don't know who else. Alan and I've talked so many times about how me and Chev should do a collabo, and she can bring some spice and some flavor. That would be fun. We've sung together when she's been here.
Right.
But I was like, man, I should call her up and be like, Chev, let's put out a song together.
That would be so good.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
And it would be so unexpected. My crew, if they hear I'm on a reggae song, they'd be like, what? Okay. All things are my brother-in-law.
Yes.
I am not joking. You've never met anyone. Reggae is huge in Kenya. Massive.
Nice. All right then.
And man, this guy will like cry. He like reggae touches his heart, like, and reggaeton and all those things. I will be there like, and my 2-man army, my Jesus, and he'll be crying. I mean, like, he is being ministered to. Oh, he loves it. So if he knew I was doing a reggae song, I think his love for me would move up a couple of notches.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah. I'm looking at the time and I'm so not ready to end because I have more questions to ask. But
ask and I'll keep my answers really short because I've kind of blabbed my head off.
No, that's okay. It's all good. It's all good. Oh my goodness. Do you have a vocal regimen? How do you keep your voice?
Like how do I care for my voice?
Care for your voice, yes.
Yeah. Well, I do in theory. I'm not as disciplined in the actuality of it.
Yes.
The only thing I'm really, really, really big about is that anytime I'm leading worship, even if I'm just singing one song, like, I really will warm up my voice. I'm being reminded of this right now because at the end of this month, I'm actually in an opera. I'm singing in an opera.
Oh, that is so good.
It is so cool.
Really good.
I was headhunted for this thing. So I'm being reminded through this because they'll do warm-ups for like 45 minutes every day. And I'm like, wow. I thought I was disciplined with my 10-minute warm-up, but no. So other than that, I got to say, I'm probably not the right person to ask because I'm like, I don't know, just don't scream too much and you'll be fine.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you produce kids music as well?
Yeah, so so my studio actually is part of my church because I am still on staff at my church. I'm the creative director of my church.
Yes.
And so the studio is under that umbrella. So we've done 2 kids albums with our kids. Our first kids album was 300 children. My Lord, it was as crazy as it sounds like it was. And then our second kids album was actually, we used our preteens because we found that our preteens are too cool and too old to sing with the little kids.
Yes.
So we're like, we feel that, we understand that. So we did an album called Ignite Us just for our preteens.
Yes.
So again, I wrote all the songs, but of course, based off of our kids' pastors' content, like the series that they would teach. And so I'd write songs based out of that. So yeah, we have some really, I love our kids' album.
That's really good. Yeah, I need to check that out. I need to check that
Yeah,
out.
for sure. You'll love it. It's
my
super
goodness.
fun.
Yes. Well, I have passed my time. I don't know what I'm going to do, but thank you so much. Yeah, part 2 for sure. Rebekah Dawn, thank you so much for sharing with us here. Hopefully at some point we'll see you in Barbados. I don't know.
Oh man, that would be awesome. Thanks so much.
That would be great. That would be great. How can people get your songs and connect with you?
Oh yeah. Okay, so my YouTube channel is Rebekah Dawn. Rebekah is spelled K-A-H. So that's where all my videos are. And then just search Rebekah Dawn on any major streaming platform or online music platform, and whatever music I have so far is there. I've been waiting to release my album for the last 10 years. And I'm going to get around to it one of these days, but there's quite a few singles that are out. So yeah. And then Instagram is Becca_Dawn. So yeah, any of those platforms, you'll find me for sure.
That's BEKA, just to clarify for anybody listening. Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's so good chatting with you, Rebekah Dawn, all the way there in Nairobi, Kenya. And, we wish you all God's best, you and Alan, as you create.
Thank you.
Create. God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing. Singer, songwriter, musician, Rebekah Dawn. God bless you.
Thank you.